Hey, man. I want to talk about the real danger of the fallout from the Trump verdict. First off, though, look at my addition coming along. I got the screens in over here, over there. I got the two little screens there. So I got to do a screen there, and then close that up and that up with something temporary. And then we'll be able to keep the chickens out, and I can move on to another pressing project before I can come back and finish this one. It's always the projects you got to do the projects you want to do. So the real danger of the Trump fallout, and you all know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but, I got to say something. First off, I'm deeply, like all of you, deeply disturbed. Even if you don't like Trump, even if you don't think voting works, even if you think the government's already so corrupt, you've got to acknowledge that this is another leg down. This is another loop in the spiral. And if there's no blowback, if they just get away with this, it becomes the new norm. It moves the Overton window. Now, just like they breached the filibuster for judicial appointments, now they've breached the impeachment for just political opponents. Like they've wasted every other norm. Now another norm is going to be, all right, let's capture the law enforcement apparatus and turn it against our political opponents. That's not the real danger. We all knew that was happening. As men, we've been dealing with that in the family law courts for a long time. So it really shouldn't shock anybody. The real danger is how many people recognize it, how many people, when your law enforcement, Steven Crowder says this all the time. I don't know I'm sure some of y'all listen to Crowder, some of y'all probably don't. It's not a sign of freedom that you have laws. It's a sign of freedom that the laws are applied equally, but it's also a sign of freedom that people respect laws. The difference between America and so many other places in the world is that, laws and law enforcement is a joke, and no one obeys them, because why would you? They're corrupt, their actions are applied unequally, and yada yada. Because look, I know we think law enforcement is incredibly powerful, but there's simply no way they can police the entire country. Our laws are dependent on to a certain level on people obeying them. And if people suddenly just stop obeying them, and the only people you can get to obey the laws are the ones that you can physically monitor at any given time, well, in a country of 330 million people with 12 to 20 million illegal aliens, that's not possible. And the law and order that we saw start breaking down back during the BLM riots is going to get worse. This is the true danger of the Trump verdict. And it's even worse in this case, because the people who it's disillusioning are the people who were the least likely to need to be policed. Right-wing conservatives, by the very definition of being a conservative, you want to conserve the existing order. So you're the most minimal threat to the existing order. You need to be the least be policed, and that's about to start changing. We're about to be the ones who most need to be policed. And I mean, I know we think that they've been policing us the heaviest, but it's been this real selective thing. We need to slap this guy down because he's done something specifically bad. I think about that guy who made those silly key cards with the print. He printed a picture on them that if you cut it out and fitted it, you could make your AR-15 fully automatic, i.e. less effective. And they decided they had to destroy him, so they did. But for the vast majority of us, they can ignore us for the most part. because we're law-abiding, because we respect the law, because we're conservatives and we want to conserve the existing order. And, we believe in free enterprise and we build wealth and we value that wealth and we don't want to lose it and we have families and we don't want to be separated. We just have all these incentives on the right to not run afoul of the powers that be, and to respect the law, and all of that is being thrown away, and they're about to make us. I mean, they wanted to criminalize us for a long time, right? But we haven't acted like criminals. They want to criminalize us without having to police us, and I think all of that's about to go away. Like I said, it's another loop on the spiral down, of a lack of respect for law enforcement, and you can't have a polite, open society without some kind of law enforcement. It's got to come from somewhere, or like I said, you can't have the polite, open society. You end up, having, absolute tyranny, Cuba / Venezuela / Soviet Union, which I don't think can work here. I think there's just too many of us. But, the Soviet Union was a really big place and a really diverse place, and they managed to pull it off. So, it's possible. But anywho, I mean, obviously, I just assume that you all know that I think that this whole thing was a total travesty. Look, I monitor some left. I shouldn't say I monitor, but I actually listen to more leftist media than I do conservative media, between podcasts and some Reddit forums I follow and stuff. And these people are absolutely jubilant. They are jubilant. And I think they're idiots. Of course, I thought they were idiots before, but they just don't understand what they're giving up. They live in a world where there are no consequences. That any action that's just a troll, they're just internet trolls. And they think it's all funny, and they think it's a score for their side, and they don't understand that polite society has been damaged, that our ability to live together has taken another hit. And they do not want to live in a world. They do not want to live in that world. They can't live in that world. Leftists can only exist when they're protected by a police state. Or at least by a robust law enforcement. Leftism doesn't work unless there's lots of men with guns standing around threatening everybody. And they have just made the men with guns less effective. Anywho, deeply disappointing, very saddening. I hate seeing, I should have known. And by the way, now we have to be prepared for Trump to receive the absolute stiffest penalty that can be handed down to him. Maybe this Mershon guy blinks. Maybe he chickens out at the last second. But everything we've seen of him so far is that he has zero shame. And we have to assume that there's jail time coming. If for no other reason than to keep him off the campaign trail, maybe. I don't know. But this is going to be ugly. This is going to be bad. All righty, man. We appreciate you. Trust in God, but keep your powder dry. It wouldn't hurt to make sure your magazines are loaded. Talk to you soon.